Two of the hottest topics today in software development are generative AI and cyber resilience. Generative AI, if you're not familiar with the term, means using artificial intelligence to automatically generate parts of a product. ChatGPT is one of the more well-known generative AI products today, but generative AI tools are being found in many areas today, including software generation. Automatic code generation is not a new idea. I recall 40 years ago hearing how automation would soon take away my job as a programmer. Well, that never happened, and I don't believe it's about to happen today. But I do believe that generative AI tools are going to change software development and will lead to the skill that will soon be the key skill for software developers in the future. To understand the need for this skill, you first need to understand how generative AI tools work. To state it bluntly, they help software developers by doing the menial work, or what I call the non-think work. Examples are documentation, but also incomplete pieces of code, with the emphasis there being on incomplete, as you'll understand more in a moment. But here's what you need to understand first. Generative AI tools don't work by, or don't generate new code by understanding what good code looks like. They generate it by taking examples from large databases of previously existing code that was written by humans like you and me that are prone to making common human mistakes. Now think about what that means. It means the software market is about to get flooded with an incredible amount of new software that's going to be generated exponentially faster than any human could possibly generate it. And that also means exponentially more of the same common human mistakes. Now think about this too. It is absolutely amazing how many of the problems software developers are making today that are the exact same problems software developers have been making for the last 50 years. Now I want you to really think about that because it also holds part of the solution. So I'm going to say it again. It is absolutely amazing how many of the problems software developers are making today that are the exact same problems software developers have been making for the last 50 years. Now let me explain this problem a little differently to make sure you understand its magnitude before we move on to the solution. What we have done with generative AI is to figure out a way to make computers make the same human mistakes that we make, but do it a whole lot faster. In other words, we are getting a pretty good productivity boost in the generation of software, but we're also exponentially increasing the production of common human mistakes. Sounds pretty impressive, doesn't it? But here is the real hooker. It is not going to be anywhere near as easy to fix these problems as it was to make them. And the reason for that is the simple point that generative AI can't do think work, and it takes think work to fix these problems. So what's the most in-demand skill for future software developers? It's the ability to fix those mistakes these new generative AI tools are going to produce, and to be able to do it rapidly because you instantly recognize the pattern. And this is going to take think work, and it's also going to take an understanding of the most common human mistakes software developers have been making for the last 50 years. So where can you gain this skill? Well, before I explain that, let me motivate this skill with another example very quickly from a slightly different perspective, and that is cybersecurity and cyber resilience, another hot topic today in software development. I am currently listening to an Audible book on how to build a cyber resilient organization. Now, first off, I think this is a very good book. The material in it is comprehensive, and I believe if you follow the material in the book and do it, you can build a cyber resilient organization, or you can use it to actually build a cyber resilient product, because the issues are the same that you have to be thinking about. But here's the thing. It takes 17 hours to listen to this entire book. You heard me right, 17 hours. And you might be wondering why I'm listening to a book for 17 hours. I listen to books, Audible books, as I run on my treadmill, and I do a lot of running. But here's the thing. While this methodology works, I was completely overwhelmed with the reference to the standards and the terminology, and I can imagine what people who are not steeped in this knowledge were feeling. As I listened to it, something struck me. What struck me is the fact that 80 to 90% of the material in this book has nothing to do with cybersecurity or cyber resilience at all. What the author is doing in this book is explaining the methodology for doing problem solving. That's most of what is going on here. If we taught engineers and software developers the essence of problem solving, the basic essentials of cyber resilience and cyber security as taught in this book could be done in a fraction of the time. If you have been following my blogs for any length of time, you've undoubtedly heard me talk about the Essence framework and the process of essentialization before. In my training courses, I refer to Essence as a thinking framework and as a problem-solving framework. Now I would just like to take a couple of minutes to explain to you a little bit about how two of my training courses in Essence relate directly to the two problems discussed in this blog. In my Certified Essence in Use for Effective Cybersecurity course, the student learns Essence by seeing it in action as applied to the problem of cybersecurity and cyber resilience. The student also learns how to use the framework as a thinking framework to apply it to their own specific situation without any extensive and unnecessary jargon. Also, the student learns the essentials of cybersecurity and cyber resilience as essentialized practices, cutting the time required to learn the essentials to a fraction of other popular training courses. In my Certified Essence in Use practitioner training, the student learns to use Essence as a general problem-solving framework. Remember what I said about that skill that's going to be the in-demand skill for future software developers. It's the ability to fix those common human mistakes that these new generative AI tools are going to produce, and to be able to do it rapidly because you instantly know the pattern as soon as you see it. I've seen that before. Here's how we fix it. Let me just say in closing this video blog that in my experience, the best way to teach someone how to think about and solve a problem is through real case studies. All of my training courses focus most of the time on my sharing real case studies from my client situations or personal stories. This is the best way to learn, extracting the patterns, the common patterns that we see that the student can then take back and apply in their own environment. Hey, thanks for listening to this video blog. On the next slide, I can share with you a little bit more about where you can find out about me and my courses. Thanks again for listening. If you're interested in learning more about my background as the author of this video blog, or if you're interested in learning more about the things that never change or the Essence framework, please go to my website, essence-in-use.com. Hey, thanks for listening and hope you have a great day.